The frantic 911 call pierced the night, shattering the stillness with a sense of urgency and dread. Michael Peterson, voice thick with panic and grief, reported his wife's fall. His words were frantic, almost incoherent, as he tried to convey the gravity of the situation to the dispatcher. Kathleen, he claimed, lay unconscious at the bottom of their staircase. The image he painted was one of a tragic accident, a misstep that led to a devastating fall. First responders rushed to the Peterson residence, a stately mansion in the quiet suburbs of Durham, North Carolina. The house, usually a symbol of affluence and tranquility, now stood as the backdrop to a potential tragedy. Nothing could have prepared them for the scene that awaited. The sight that greeted them was far from the simple accident they might have expected. Kathleen, a successful businesswoman and beloved member of the community, lay in a pool of blood. Her lifeless body was a stark contrast to the vibrant person she had been. The sight was gruesome. Blood splattered the walls and steps, painting a picture of a horrific accident, or something more sinister. The sheer volume of blood suggested a violent struggle rather than a simple fall. Peterson, a well-respected novelist and local figure, seemed distraught. His demeanor was one of shock and disbelief, yet there was an undercurrent of something else, something that made the first responders uneasy. He cooperated with police, recounting the events of the evening with a calmness that some found unsettling. His detailed account of the night seemed rehearsed, almost too perfect in its delivery. The initial shock of Kathleen's death reverberated through Durham. The community, known for its close-knit nature, was rocked by the sudden and violent loss of one of its own. Friends and neighbors struggled to reconcile the tragedy with the seemingly perfect life the Petersons portrayed. The couple had always appeared happy, their lives a picture of success and harmony. Whispers of doubt began to circulate. The more people learned about the circumstances of Kathleen's death, the more questions arose. How could such a tragic accident happen in a home so familiar? The sheer volume of blood, the strange behavior of Michael Peterson, something didn't add up. Investigators began to piece together the evidence, each clue leading them further away from the idea of an accidental fall. As investigators combed the scene and the autopsy results came back, a horrifying suspicion began to take root. The injuries Kathleen sustained were inconsistent with a simple fall. Kathleen hadn't just fallen, she had been brutally beaten. The autopsy revealed lacerations and blunt force trauma that pointed to a violent attack. The idyllic facade of the Peterson family crumbled, revealing a dark undercurrent of secrets and lies. The perfect life they had shown to the world was now under intense scrutiny. The investigation into Kathleen's death was no longer about a tragic accident. It was about murder. The evidence pointed to a deliberate act of violence, and the prime suspect was the man who had called for help. Detectives meticulously documented every detail, every piece of evidence, knowing that each fragment could be crucial in uncovering the truth. The notepad filled with observations, questions, and theories, each one a step closer to solving the mystery. A timeline of events was constructed, mapping out the hours leading up to Kathleen's death. The timeline was filled with gaps and inconsistencies, each one a potential clue to what really happened that night. The forensic team collected samples from the crime scene, each one a potential key to unlocking the truth. Blood samples, hair fibers, and other trace evidence were carefully cataloged and sent for analysis. Each piece of evidence was bagged and tagged, a silent witness to the events that had unfolded. The blood-stained items told a story of violence and struggle, a story that contradicted the initial claim of an accidental fall. Detectives interviewed neighbors and friends, piecing together a picture of the Petersons' life. Each interview added a new layer to the investigation, revealing tensions and secrets that had been hidden beneath the surface. Neighbors expressed their shock and disbelief, but some also hinted at underlying issues. There were whispers of arguments, of financial troubles, and of a marriage that was not as perfect as it seemed. Security footage from the neighborhood was reviewed, each frame scrutinized for any sign of an intruder or unusual activity. The footage provided a timeline, but it also raised more questions than it answered. The time of the incident was crucial. It was a piece of the puzzle that could either support or contradict Michael Peterson's account of the evening. Every minute was accounted for, every second analyzed. The layout of the house was studied in detail. The position of Kathleen's body, the blood spatter patterns, and the location of potential weapons were all mapped out. The house itself became a key piece of evidence. Blood spatter analysis provided crucial insights. The patterns told a story of their own, one that suggested a violent struggle rather than a simple fall. The direction and distribution of the blood were inconsistent with an accidental tumble down the stairs. Detectives and forensic experts worked closely, sharing findings and theories. Each piece of evidence was examined from multiple angles, each theory tested and retested. The goal was to build a comprehensive picture of what had happened. The determination to uncover the truth was palpable. The detectives knew that they were not just solving a crime. They were seeking justice for Kathleen. Every lead was pursued, every clue followed, no matter where it led. The investigation eventually led to a trial, where the evidence would be presented and scrutinized. The courtroom became the stage for a dramatic unfolding of events, where the truth would finally be revealed. The gavel's strike marked the beginning of a legal battle that would captivate the community and the nation. The trial was not just about determining guilt or innocence. It was about uncovering the truth behind a tragic and violent death. The community gathered outside the courthouse waiting for news, hoping for justice. The case had become a focal point, a symbol of the hidden darkness that can lurk behind even the most perfect facades. Headlines screamed the latest developments, each new piece of information adding to the public's fascination and horror. The trial was more than a legal proceeding. It was a story of love, betrayal, and violence that gripped the nation. The Peterson family, once seen as the epitome of success and happiness, was now viewed through a lens of suspicion and tragedy. The perfect life they had portrayed was shattered, replaced by a narrative of secrets and lies. As the trial progressed, the detectives remained focused on their goal, to uncover the truth and ensure that justice was served. The case file, filled with evidence and testimonies, was a testament to their relentless pursuit of justice. The judge, with a solemn expression, presided over the trial, ensuring that every piece of evidence was considered, every testimony heard. The weight of the decision was heavy, the responsibility immense. The jury, tasked with determining the truth, deliberated carefully. Each member weighed the evidence, considered the testimonies, and grappled with the gravity of their decision. The fate of Michael Peterson rested in their hands. The moment of truth arrived as the verdict was read. The courtroom held its breath, the community waited in anticipation, and the nation watched. The decision would bring closure to some, but for others, it would only deepen the mystery. The reactions were mixed: relief, anger, sadness. The emotions were as complex as the case itself. For Kathleen's family, the verdict was a step towards justice, but the pain of loss remained. For the detectives, the case was a reminder of the complexities of human nature, the hidden depths of people's lives, and the relentless pursuit of truth. The investigation had been long and arduous, but it had also been a testament to their dedication and resolve. In the aftermath, the community came together, united by the tragedy but also by the hope for healing and justice. The case had left an indelible mark, but it had also brought people closer, reminding them of the importance of truth and justice. A memorial for Kathleen Peterson was held, a somber reminder of the life that was lost and the impact she had on those around her. The community mourned her loss, but they also celebrated her life, remembering the vibrant person she had been. Candles were lit in her memory, each flame a symbol of hope and remembrance. The light of the candles flickered in the night, a poignant reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring power of love and justice. The Peterson house, once filled with life and laughter, now stood quiet and still. The echoes of the past lingered, but the truth had been uncovered and justice had been served. The story of Kathleen Peterson was one of tragedy, but also of the relentless pursuit of truth and justice. The evidence against Michael Peterson was substantial, but largely circumstantial. No murder weapon was ever found, and forensic experts offered conflicting opinions about the blood spatter patterns. Prosecutors, led by the tenacious District Attorney Jim Hardin, meticulously pieced together a case based on motive, opportunity, and inconsistencies in Peterson's account. Peterson's bisexuality, kept hidden from most of his family and friends, became a point of contention. Prosecutors argued that Kathleen, upon discovering her husband's secret life, threatened to leave him, triggering a violent confrontation. Financial troubles added another layer to the prosecution's narrative, suggesting that Peterson, facing mounting debts, had a financial motive to kill his wife and collect on her life insurance policy. The defense, however, painted a vastly different picture. They presented Michael and Kathleen's marriage as loving and stable. dismissing the prosecution's claims as speculative and fueled by prejudice against Peterson's sexuality. Defense experts challenged the forensic evidence, arguing that the blood patterns were consistent with an accidental fall. As the trial approached, the case became a media sensation. The prosecution's narrative, with its themes of infidelity, betrayal, and violence, captivated the public imagination. The defense, meanwhile, skillfully portrayed Michael Peterson as a victim of circumstance, a man wrongfully accused of a horrific crime. The Peterson family, a blended unit with children from previous marriages, found themselves thrust into the center of the storm. Loyalties were tested as the prosecution presented a narrative that painted Michael Peterson as a cold-blooded killer. The courtroom became a battleground of emotions, with family members taking the stand for both the prosecution and the defense. Clayton and Todd, Michael's sons from his first marriage, steadfastly maintained their father's innocence. They fiercely defended him in the media, countering the prosecution's portrayal of him as a manipulative and dangerous man. Caitlin Atwater, Kathleen's daughter from a previous marriage, became a vocal advocate for her mother, convinced of Michael's guilt. The testimony of the Peterson children provided a glimpse into the family dynamics, revealing a complex web of relationships and conflicting perspectives. The trial exposed the raw emotions of grief, anger, and suspicion that simmered beneath the surface. The courtroom became a stage for a family drama as heartbreaking as the crime itself. The prosecution, seeking to exploit these divisions, highlighted inconsistencies in the family's accounts of Michael and Kathleen's relationship. They pointed to strained interactions and veiled tensions as evidence of a troubled marriage on the brink of collapse. The defense, however, countered with stories of family vacations, shared laughter, and unwavering support, painting a picture of a united and loving family. As the prosecution meticulously built its case, a new and unexpected theory emerged. Larry Pollard, a neighbor and family friend, contacted the defense with a startling claim. He believed that Kathleen's death was not a murder at all, but a freak accident caused by an owl attack. Pollard pointed to microscopic owl feathers found on Kathleen's body and scratches on her face and scalp, suggesting that she had been attacked by a large bird of prey. He argued that Kathleen, disoriented and injured after the attack, had stumbled back into her house and fallen down the stairs, explaining the blood and the severity of her injuries. While initially dismissed as outlandish, the owl theory gained traction. Experts confirmed that owl attacks, while rare, could be violent and even fatal. The location of that Peterson home, situated near a wooded area known to be inhabited by owls, lent credibility to the theory. The introduction of the owl theory threw a wrench into the prosecution's case. It provided a plausible alternative explanation for Kathleen's injuries and challenged the prosecution's narrative of a brutal beating. The jurors, tasked with determining Michael Peterson's fate, now had to grapple with two vastly different versions of events.